Good afternoon, everyone. Now, since we are done to lesson 5.2, the curriculum evaluation through learning assessment, let us now go to our next lesson, lesson 5.3. The planning, implementing, and evaluating, understanding the connections. By the way, I am Arlene M. Kendosa, your reporter for today.
Planning, implementing, and evaluating, understanding the connections. So here are our desired learning outcomes. First, analyze the relationship between planning and implementing in curriculum development. Second, explain the connection of curriculum implementation and evaluation. Third, discuss the interrelatedness of curriculum evaluation and curriculum planning. And lastly, interpret the overall relationship of planning, implementing, and evaluation in curriculum development. Does curriculum development end with evaluation? Yes, according to some models presented by Hilda Taba and Ralph Tyler. However, since a curriculum development is a continuous process, it can also be viewed like a pie. Planning, implementing, and evaluating is a cyclical process, which means that after evaluating, the process of planning starts again. The evaluation cycle, the connections. Planning, implementing, and assessing are three processes in curriculum development that are taken separately but are connected to each other. The cycle continues as each is embedded in a dynamic change that happens in curriculum development. Planning is an initial step in curriculum development. Planning is the initial process in curriculum development. It includes determining the needs through an assessment. Needs would include those of the learners, the teachers, the community, and the society as these relate to curriculum. After the needs had been identified, the intended outcomes are set. Intended outcomes should be SMART. SMART means specific, measurable, attainable, with result and within the frame of time. Intended outcomes should be double, achievable, and desired. After establishing this, then a curricularist should find out in planning the ways of achieving the desired outcomes. These are ways and means, and the strategies are the identification of support materials. All of these should be written and should include the means of evaluation. An example of a curriculum plan is a lesson plan. It is a written document. Many planners would say a good plan is half of a work done. So, in curriculum development, a well-written plan ensures a successful implementation. The end product of planning is a written document. Some outputs of curriculum planning are lesson plans, unit plans, syllabus, course design, modules, books, instructional guides, or even a new science curriculum plan. Next, implementation continues after planning. So what should be implemented? The planned curriculum which was written should be implemented. It has to be put into action or used by a curriculum implementer who is the teacher. The curriculum plan should not remain as a written document. It will become useless. Curriculum planner can also be a curriculum implementer. In fact, a curriculum planner who implements the curriculum must have a full grasp of what is to be done. This is an important role of a teacher. With a well-written curriculum plan, a teacher can execute this with the help of instructional materials, equipment, resource materials, and enough time. The curriculum implementer must also see to it that the plan which serves as a guide is executed correctly. The skill and the ability of the teacher to impart and guide learning are necessary in the curriculum implementation. It is necessary that end in view or the intended outcomes will be achieved in implementations. Evaluation follows implementation. The focus of the chapter is evaluations after planning and implementations were done. It is very necessary to find out at this point if the planned or written curriculum is implemented successfully and the desired learning outcomes were achieved. curriculum evaluation as big idea may follow evaluation models which can be used for programs and projects. These models discussed in a previous lesson guide the process and the corresponding tools that will be used to measure outcomes. However, when used for assessment of learning, which is also evaluation, more attention is given to levels of assessment for the levels of learning outcomes as defined by the Department of Education. The use of the description for the proficiency the learner is described by the qualified values of the weighted test scores in an interval scale. So our key idea here is what has been planned should be implemented and what has been implemented should be evaluated. Finally, the PI, the cyclical flow of the three processes in curriculum development, is very easy to remember and follow. As a curricularist, these guiding ideas clarify our understanding that one cannot assess what was not taught, nor implemented what was not planned. Plan, then implement, then evaluates, the next cycle begins. For our take action, Activity 1, entitled A Day in the Life of a Teacher in a Classroom, my task is to look for a teacher whom I know personally. Then ask him or her to answer the following questions. First, what are the teaching plans you do every day? Give at least 3. Second, do you implement this plan? How? And lastly, if you implement these plans, how do you evaluate this? Through Messenger, I asked Sir John Renson R.A., Teacher 1 and currently teaching at Kalangkang Elementary School. The first question is, what are the teaching plans do you do every day? Give at least 3. He said that, based on the educational guidelines by the DepEd, all teachers are required to craft their weekly home learning plan, formerly Daily Lesson Log or DLP, during face-to-face. Based on this, his teaching plans are to facilitate learning, track and monitor the learner's progress, and assess the learner's understanding through various ways such as formative and summative assessments. For the second question, do you implement this plan and how? He said yes. He implements it through planning and scheduling the suited activities for each learner. Monitoring is done through various platforms like on-site monitoring, if allowed by the IATF, phone calls and video calls if internet connection is available to both the teacher and the student. Sometimes teachers didn't accomplish monitoring due to some favorable reasons like webinars or seminars, ancillaries in the school, and etc. For the last question, I asked him, if you implement these plans, how do you evaluate this? He said that evaluation can take place every end of the day, just simply asking the learner's ideas on the specific lesson. Summative tests and performance tasks can be used in evaluation. So for our self-check and reflect, match the concept with the PI. And to self-reflect, reflect on the information I mentioned earlier in the interview above, then answer the question, is a teacher's life is a series of planning, implementing, and evaluation? Will this improve teaching? Then why? And this is to be submitted on Monday. So thank you, keep safe, and God bless you all.